were you involved with Math and Movement?
I am the founder of Math and Movement. This started about 15 years ago when I worked with my children, and for the last 5 years I've been very actively involved with rolling out the program in schools all over the country.
What is Math and Movement?
Math and Movement is a multi-sensory kinesthetic approach to learning math that incorporates physical exercise, cross-body movements, and yoga. It also includes floor mats that kids jump on to help them learn with visual, auditory, and kinesthetic modalities.
Why does Math and Movement benefit the student?
Math and Movement benefits the students because it incorporates cross-body movements. We have a midpoint in our body that goes right down the middle from our nose to our toes, and anytime we cross that midpoint, with either our arms or our legs, we integrate the left and the right hemispheres of our brain, thus enhancing new learning.
Tell me about the math movements. What are they?
The math movements are a series of movements that use varied levels of voice levels. For example, we whisper numbers that are not the multiples and clap and say loudly the multiples. The purpose of this is to have children understand that the multiples come from a pattern, that multiples are not random numbers, but they can understand exactly where they come from by counting all the numbers, but whispering on the numbers that are not multiples and clapping and saying loudly the multiples.
How did you get the idea for the floor mats?
I got the idea from the floor mats from working in an elementary school. I held up a banner that had the multiples highlighted, and the numbers were just there all in a pattern, and I pointed that to them and I said, when you are going from 0 to 3, for example, it's like you're hopping over these numbers. It's like you're just jumping over these other numbers. And that gave me the idea to have a floor mat on the floor where kids actually jumped over numbers to land on the multiple. And it's skip counting, and that's really kind of the word of skip counting is you're skipping numbers. But when kids actually physically jump over numbers, it really helps them to understand the multiples, and also, of course, it adds such an intense amount of physical activity.
Why did you develop Math and Movement?
Well, in my background, I have to say I was never very good at math. I was the true math flunky in school. And I then had children, and I didn't want my children to have the same experience that I had. So I developed Math and Movement to help all children be confident and competent in their math ability.
How do students feel about Math and Movement?
I would have to say that every student that I have ever introduced Math and Movement to has been absolutely ecstatic about it. They love the movements, they love the math movements, they love coming up with ideas for what to do. They love jumping on the floor mats, they're brightly colored, and they are just so engaging for children. They absolutely love Math and Movement.
How does Math and Movement allow students to exercise their imaginations?
Well, you know that math practice has always been somewhat dull. Sit down, be still, be quiet, and practice, practice, practice. But with Math and Movement, instead of sitting down, we can be physically active. And the way it addresses their imagination is children are asked what type of animal they would like to be, what sport do they like to do. And once they tell me their idea from their imagination, we develop a floor mat that matches their idea. So if they want to be a kitty cat, then we pretend to be a kitty cat. And we get out our kitty claws and we count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Or if they want to be an elephant, we make the elephant trunk. And then we do a movement for elephants. Or if they want to be a basketball player, we dribble the basketball. So whatever it is that the student really likes and enjoys doing, we pretend to be that and do a math movement.
When did Math and Movement begin?
Math began about 15 years ago with my own children. I was trying to help them to learn math, and through that process,
When did Math and Movement begin?
Math and Movement began about 15 years ago with my own children. I was trying to help them love math and be physically active, so I was constantly thinking of new ideas to get them to be physically active and practice math. And then from there, it turned into a book that I wrote called Multiply With Me, Learning to Multiply Can Be Fun. This is a book for parents to help them teach their children multiplication through physical activity and fun games. And then from there, it was brought to an elementary school, and there was a fabulous pilot study.
Tell me more about the pilot study at Northeast Elementary School. Did the students improve their math ability?
Yes, the pilot study at Northeast Elementary School was a 10-week pilot study that ran for 18 hours. 10 hours of regular instruction and 8 hours of math and movement fit in throughout the day. And at the beginning of the study, the first graders did not know how to multiply at all. At the end of the study, most of the kids in the class could multiply, and they loved it. They developed a new confidence in math that we had never observed before. We tested the students in the beginning and the end to show the results over that 18-hour period.
Have there been more pilot studies?
Yes, there have been many pilot studies. There was a pilot study with preschoolers at Southern Cayuga Elementary School. There was another pilot study with second graders at Spencer Van Etten Elementary School. There was another pilot study at Northeast Elementary School in the next year. And right now there is a very large research study going on at Elmira City School District.
Why are you concerned about low math test scores in the U.S.?
I'm very concerned about the U.S. students' math scores, because if we do not improve our math ability, we will not be able to compete in the global market. The recent PISA test showed us that 15-year-olds scored at 29 out of 30. This is very low. 30 countries that are in industrialized nations. Very low, and we need to improve these scores.
Is Math and Movement currently in public schools?
Yes, Math and Movement is currently in schools all over the country, and it is growing at a very rapid pace. Teachers love Math and Movement because they understand that their children need more physical exercise, but state mandates require so much new information to be introduced. So Math and Movement allows the teacher to integrate math practice throughout the day, benefiting both literacy and numeracy.
Is the program expensive to implement in schools?
The program is not expensive to implement in schools. The training for the math movements is very low cost. Teachers learn it in about a day. It's quite easy to implement. It makes sense to teachers. They understand from the training very quickly how they can implement through the day. The formats are a little bit more expensive, and we are currently working on sponsors to purchase formats for schools all over the country.
How could a pilot study and the support of Tufts University help U.S. students?
The pilot study supported by Tufts University would be so incredibly helpful to Math and Movement, to teachers, to students all over the country. From our pilot studies, we have found that students and teachers both love this program and have been trying to figure out how to get training so that it can be included in all of their classrooms. A pilot study supported by Tufts University would allow the teachers information that they can bring to their administrators about how the program works, and so that they can have support from their administrators to implement the program in their schools. Right now we have thousands of teachers that are asking for Math and Movement, and because of budget cuts there has been so many cuts in funding, and teachers are trying so hard to get math and movement and are struggling. The pilot study will change that for teachers by getting the data to show the administrators the value of including math and movement exercises throughout the day. It will help teachers and students both.
Why is it important for Math and Movement to win the Active Schools ASAP technology competition?
Children love math and movement. When I go into a school and I bring the floor mats and children take a look at the floor mats, they are immediately so excited about the opportunity of jumping on the mat and saying whatever it is that is on the mat. Whether it's the multiples of 6, they jump and say 6, 12, 18, 24. They love saying that. What happens is that kids grow in their learning of multiples at such a fast pace, but also at the same time they're getting intense physical exercise. So if Math and Movement were to win this competition, then we would have the opportunity for students all over the country to engage in math and movement exercises, to gain the physical exercise that they need, but also to increase their learning at an incredibly fast pace to help the United States stay competitive in our global